All right. And we are ready to go. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else and what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and featured titan for today, Tracey Hicks. Tracey, thanks so much for taking the time. I'm super honored to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is great. And you are obviously in the All Things Real Estate headquarters. Love the branding in the back. I'm super excited to be, shooting live here from the Real Estate Titans headquarters right here in the Lion's Den. So without further ado, let's just dive into the series of questions. I really appreciate you taking the time. We are doing this just for the audience, so you guys know. Tracey is in Portland, Oregon. So, I'm here in Colorado. We're talking about Oregon here. So this is going across the country here. So, but let's just dive in, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm Tracey Hicks. You said I'm in Portland. I'm born and raised. Not to go too far back, but I worked with kids for about 20 years before I became a realtor.
Okay.
And then, so I've had my real estate license for almost 15 years. And about 4 years ago, kind of slowed down to do the store. And I actually went inactive last year.
Okay. And
then I am now in the process of going back active because I feel weird not having my real estate. So.
That's great. But that's huge information for people to see, obviously, who you are and where you came from and that sort of thing. I would love to dive a little bit deeper into all things real estate, just in case if anybody who's watching or listening this doesn't know how amazing this brand is and what you guys do. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit.
Of course. So All Things Real Estate, or All Things Real Estate Store, I've always wanted to have better products and better looking things for realtors. And for so long, there just hasn't been anything. It's just been terrible what we've had. And so I think I love realtors and I understand what a hard job it is. And they're face-to-face, they're on the ground, they're working with clients. Marketing and all that stuff is it's the part of the business that you have to work on, but you don't have enough time, or, it's like a contractor's house, it's like completely unfinished. It's the same with realtors. Like, they don't have time to do all that. And so I get that. And when I was realtoring, I wish that there was something like this to have to go and purchase products. So long story short, about 5 years ago, we were going to start a store here in Portland. We had one location where we could go and pick up sold stickers or sell pending or whatever it was that we needed. But again, it was the same boring black, red, and white stuff that we've had for so long. And so 5 years ago, I was like, they went out of business. And I was like, okay, I'll take over her book of business. They were really great people. They've been doing it for a really long time, husband and wife team. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do it. But I was in a time of my career where like people were calling me without me having to like market myself all the time. When you get those repeat customers that are starting to come back. So I was like, I don't want to stop being a realtor right now. And so that kind of got put on hold. And then a few years later, I was like, okay, I did the home buyer journals, and that's actually where it really started. And
okay.
I created that for one of my clients that kept calling me about houses that we had literally already been in and seen and all that good stuff. So I created that for her, and I was like, okay, every realtor needs to have this for their clients. And it kind of just took off from there. I had to figure out how to sell the home buyer journals, and I knew that they needed sold and sell pending stickers. So I was like, well, I might as well do those. And then it blew up.
Wow. And I love that though, because you looked at it from a need in the market and truly improving what was happening and making an impact obviously on the real estate community, and then other communities that real estate professionals service. So it goes hand in hand, and it's just so incredible what you do and what you will continue to do. So what's the best way for everybody to find you, your product, and that sort of thing? And I'll put the links in the comments down below, but what's the best way?
If you just search all things real estate, hopefully it will pop up. We pay a lot for Google and Facebook ads, so we better come up. But yeah, allthingsrealestatestore.com it'll take you right to our website.
Okay, fantastic. And again, as always, I'll have links in the comments below, as I said. So I do want to go a little bit deeper for everybody to get to know you as a person, a professional individual. So the next question, it comes down to, what's your why? I mean, what motivates you to do what you do to the level that you do it at? Gets you out of bed in the morning, excited?
It's really it's our customers. Sometimes I call them clients because I feel like they're my clients.
Right.
But it really is. It's our realtor community. I love realtors probably more than I loved realtoring. I know what a hard job it is, and it's taxing. They take on. It's not just a regular job, and they take on all of the emotions and all of the things that it takes to buy or sell a house. Like, realtors are taking all that on all the time. And so I want people to understand what a hard job it is. And I know that I'm trying not to be harsh about it, but we're looked at as car salesmen. We're like, people don't trust us right off the bat. They think we make millions of dollars and all we do is collect a check and it only takes a couple hours of work. And so I know that's not true. Mm-hmm. And all the other realtors know that's not true.
Yep.
And so I think that collectively, us as a realtor community need to educate the public a little more about what our jobs are. And people have a hard time talking about themselves in general. And Agreed. I think realtors do too. And it's probably because of that reason as well. They don't want to sound like they're boasting, or they think that people don't want to hear their story or about their job. But people are so interested in real estate. Like, anytime, I'm sure every realtor gets this, but anytime you say you're a realtor or you're in real estate, people are going to ask you questions. They're curious. Like, everybody has a hand, whether they haven't, they're getting ready to buy, or they're going to buy a house at some point, or they've sold or bought a few or whatever. Everybody has, a real estate story, whether it's started yet or not. Mm-hmm. So I think that I just want realtors to look good and be approachable, and I think that that's what goes into all of our products. Like, we're intentional about everything that we produce, and we aren't just making signs to make money. Like, it's bigger than that.
Right. And I think that everybody who knows your brand and appreciates you and is already a loyal fan and advocate, they get what you're saying. So hopefully that everybody who's watching or listening really understands the depth of that you really do care about the professional and taking it to a higher standard. I think is fantastic. Truly, truly. And that's a huge why. It's above ourselves. The best whys are truly, to help others to really grow and scale. And I think that's great. So, Tracey, that was fantastic. I do want to go to the next portion of this. And this is actually a crowd pleaser of this particular series. A lot of the subscribers, viewers, listeners, they want to know or have a window into what the Titans are doing to grow and scale their business, what they've really done. So if you could look back at your business thus far, pick or choose one or two things you added that took it from one level to the next. What's that look like for you?
So for us, and also too, I've never done retail a day in my life. Like, I went from the restaurant business to kids to real estate. So everything that we do every day, I'm learning as we go.
Love that.
But what took us definitely to the next level were our Facebook ads. And I know that we get realtors asking us all the time about, we have a great Instagram following, and but with Facebook, we do Facebook ads, and we do quite a bit. But that's easier for us because our ads are to get to the realtors. So that's an easy thing. For realtors using Facebook ads, you have to be really strategic about it. probably hire somebody that knows what they're doing. In fact, we have a company that does our Facebook ads, and I've referred realtors to him, and he's met with them.
Oh, great.
And said, you know what, Facebook is not your place to put ads. Like that's not where it's at for you in particular.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Instagram might be better for you, or blogging or Pinterest or whatever. So you really have to look at your market and be really intentional about what it is that what goal is it that you're trying to get to? Are you trying to get more exposure, or are you trying to get more leads? Are they buyers? I mean, there's just so much that goes into it, and you really have to take some time to do that. I tell realtors all the time, like, you're a mini corporation, like you are a business, and you have your day-to-day, duties as a realtor, but you also have all that stuff in the back end that you have got to take care of, and don't let that go, even with CRMs and things like that. So you really got to think of it as a business and figure out the best way, because a lot of realtors are not successful with Facebook ads. They just don't work.
Right.
And it's probably because they're just throwing money at it, and a listing. Now, if you have a really great listing and you think that might be a good Facebook ad, then that might work, but maybe that's just a short period of time. You're not going to use that ad for months.
Sure.
So again, being intentional about that is really key. And it was a lot easier for us because we just put a cute picture of a product on Facebook, and people engage with it. And the other thing is that we really have to stay engaged with people, and that's the one thing that I can tell people. Hopefully realtors hear this quite often, but you have to stay engaged with your posts and with your people. If somebody's commenting on something you posted, you've got to comment back.
Well said.
You got to stay on top of it, because nobody wants to see that you responded 5 weeks later, like, oh, some realtor you can't even get back to people on Facebook. So, you want people to know that you're on it, and that you're responsive.
Okay. And there were tons of beautiful nuggets inside there. I mean, really to unearth. I love the fact that you're really looking at it, that it is not a one size fits all. Know your market, know your consumers, have your finger on the pulse. I think no matter what marketing and advertisement you do, you should do that. And I'm firm in agreement. You could have the best product or service in the world, but if people don't know about it, that's where the marketing and advertisement piece comes into play. Talking about Facebook and Instagram, I think that's really, really pertinent. There's just so many professionals that have not taken the time to really understand how important that truly is. So if you're not, I guess to me, if you're not that real estate professional, as you said, hire somebody who does know these things and understand these things. It takes a budget, but either you're going to do it and spend your time and money, or you're going to have somebody else do it and spend different allotments of time and money. But I think it's crucially important.
Or you're going to spend a bunch of money and not do it, and then you just wasted all that money.
Right. Well said. Well said. So I think that's huge. Things to kind of take note and write down is really getting proper exposure to your markets, knowing your demographics. But a lot of things that you said with your target demographic of being realtors and real estate professionals, to me, there's not a lot of difference between consumers. I mean, it's just a different end user, but the results end up being the same if you set it up properly. Yeah. So I love that advice. And again, and hopefully I'm okay to throw you under this bus, but if anybody has any questions, please reach out. I mean, you're a wealth of knowledge, and I think it'd be fantastic if anybody was just curious, that sort of thing. So hopefully that's all right. Me throwing it there. But so let's shift gears and kind of go into the tricky part of this particular interview and series. It's the challenge question, and I always kind of lead into this with, we all have challenges in our lives. No one's exempt, whether it's in the past, now, or in the future. We all deal with it. But I think it's really not so much what happens, but how we respond and what we can learn and grow from and share. So if you're comfortable sharing something, Tracey, that you dealt with in your life that you overcame, what's that look like for you?
I think I'm actually going through it right now.
Okay.
This business, I'm my 50th birthday is this year. And so, you think a lot about, what am I doing with my life? Or the same thing you think when you're 25. It's still the same question. So I've been doing a lot of work, a lot of money work. And I think a lot of realtors probably have the same process or mentality, or you're a realtor for a reason. and you don't want to work for anybody. You're an entrepreneur, so you have that spirit probably by nature, which is probably what led you into being a realtor. And so, it's really easy to live check to check because it's feast or famine. And so really taking that responsibility has been a big struggle or challenge for me in the last 15 years.
Sure.
And so I've been doing a lot of work around that, like savings accounts and retirement and things like that is really a challenge. And I'm working with I've never worked with a coach ever in my life or my real estate career. I'm working with some money people right now, some money coaches, and learning a lot about myself that I really had no idea, like talking about my childhood and stuff like that around money.
Wow.
And so I'm learning a lot about that, and it's been really eye-opening. And not that there's any there's some solutions, of course, but just even having those questions asked of me and making me think about stuff is like, it really just kind of connected a lot of dots for me. And so apparently my thing is that I love the chase of getting the money, and I'm a risk taker. Basically, it came out that I eat risk for breakfast.
Wow. All right. Now we're talking.
I was like, oh, that's totally me. And then I was like, oh man, like I don't want to live like that forever. I'm getting tired,
Sure.
The older you get, the wiser you get, hopefully. But that's exhausting, and that's exactly where we're at right now. And we sold $1 million in products, but we also spent $1 million. So, and that all kind of stems from me, the owner of the company, where I'm like, well, yeah, because I'm constantly living for the chase. Like that's my high, is chasing. Like, oh, we need a couple $1,000s. Oh, we'll do that. We'll get that. Wow. So I got to get out of that pattern. And so that's been a real eye opener for me lately. And I think that a lot of realtors are in that same boat. I think it's the same thing. You're constantly chasing a listing or chasing a closing. The only thing different between me and a realtor right now is that I used to think in 30 and 45 day increments. So at least I have like that, but now I'm every single day. Like the sales that we have today are going to pay the bills tomorrow. So that's the challenge right now, is to not be in that hamster wheel anymore.
Wow. And, Tracey, thanks for sharing that, because it's not easy to kind of air your stuff out in front of everybody. But to me, there's so much knowledge in those statements that you're making. Really looking at your life and your livelihood and income, money management, time management, and having people around you to help. That's healthy. And so many of us take forever to bring somebody on board because we want to do it alone. And, again, eating risk for breakfast. I mean, things like that. It's just naturally driven in commission sales and things along those lines, and higher producing, thought leaders, the whole nine. So, but I think that there's a lot of us that can take some great advice from that and just say, hey, you know what? Do the best you can, manage your time, manage your money, get great people around you. I guess ask your peers, right? I mean, who are they using? Who are they engaging with? How did they take it up? Watch or listen to podcasts or shows like this to learn from different people and different perspectives. But I think that's fantastic. And obviously look at where you are and where you're going to continue to go. And it's just, it's constant change. It's growth, right? As you said, as we get older, hopefully we get smarter, and set it up right. So, I think that's great. So I appreciate you sharing that. I really do. And I know that that's going to resonate with a lot of people who are watching or listening on top of this. So I do want to go a little softer. So we made it through that tough question into there, but I do want to go to actually one of my favorites. And this is the travel back in time question. So if you could travel back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice or two in any time frame, any age range, what would you say to your younger self?
Excuse me. That is a really good question. I think I almost want to say nothing, because that's what makes you who you are, of course. And I think that one of the things that I would say is to, I mean, if I'm talking about business,
Sure.
obviously, I think it's taking the time a little bit to organize your brain. Like if you're getting ready to do something, or even if it's a family thing or an issue or whatever, I think thinking it through and maybe not being as impulsive, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't know. That's a hard question. I almost want to say nothing because
Yeah.
I
No, no,
really
no.
like who I am. And a lot of people have challenges. We were talking earlier about, as realtors, one of the things we hear a lot is about, people hire coaches, or you always get advice. It's like being pregnant and everybody gives you advice about being
That's great.
mom.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in real estate. People want to give you advice all the time, but you really have to you have to be you. You have to go with what you're going with. And otherwise, if you're going to try to be somebody you're not, or trying to do something that you're never going to do, you're never going to do it. And so it's just on your brain that you have to get something done that you're never going to do. So that's just taking away from, the other stuff that you want to be doing in your business. So yeah, I think that it's okay. That's a hard question.
No, but those are great answers. I mean, your initial thought was, I really wouldn't change anything or go through it. And I think that you're absolutely right. We are who we are because of the pain, the success and the failure and the happiness and everything that we deal with. I mean, I say this all the time, so I'm sure some people are going to roll their eyes or, maybe mentally roll their eyes, but we are the books we read, the movies we watch, the travel we do, the conversations we have, and again, the negative and positives in our lives. I mean, and I think everybody can resonate with that to a certain standpoint. But I love the fact that you're looking at it and saying, hey, look at your business and see what works. And then, stay within your nature, have passion behind it. Because if you're not passionate, you're going to fail. I mean, or you're going to be miserable doing it for what? Paycheck. I mean, there's so many different ways to make money and make an impact on the community, but still being fulfilled. So
and part of the money work that I've been doing was one of the things. I moved around a lot as a kid. I'm born and raised in Portland. I've never left Portland, but I've lived in probably every neighborhood in the city.
Wow.
And as a kid, that's hard. You get pulled from school. You've been there a year or two. You make friends, and now you're going to a new school. And I've always said, oh, that's what's made me who I am, and I'm outgoing. I don't have a problem making friends or whatever because of that reason. But going through this money work, one of the things that one of the gals that I work with, excuse me, she said, what that does is when you move, especially as a child, when you're moving and going to a new school, when you go to that new school, you have to hold back who you are, because you're not going to be like, here I am. You have to sit back and observe a little bit, and you lose a little piece of you every single time you have to go through that. And so it gave me a new perspective on it's like therapy. I mean, just like you're getting asked questions that nobody's ever asked you. You've never asked yourself. You've never thought about these things. So as soon as you think about it, it really just opens up a whole new world. Again, coaching isn't for everyone, and I didn't go through it for a long time, but finding somebody to talk to about business, where it's intentional, that they have, whether you're paying them or not, I mean, it's a friend or whatever, but having those conversations is a lot for you. And I think that, again, it opens up, and it's that mindset thing too. I never used to use that word, but I'm looking back and I'm seeing that exactly what I wanted or asked for in my business, I'm getting, whether that's positive or negative. And so there's a lot to be said about that. And it's something to really think about, at least.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. I mean, there's so much in there for people to digest and really apply. And that's the whole point of that question. It is kind of an odd question to ask, and no one has a time machine and can go back. But I think that a lot of that advice or thought process is applied to all of us today. So that was super cool. Thanks for sharing that. I do want to go into another crowd pleaser into this particular series and interview. A lot of the professionals who are engaged with this content, they want to know what the Titans have done to feed their minds. I mean, what books you're reading, podcasts you're listening to, influencers and social media, coaches, that sort of thing. How are you feeding your mind?
So okay, first of all, being new to this, retail, e-commerce type stuff, I've had to read a lot about that. And so I don't want to say overwhelmed, but you read so much about that stuff, you're like, okay, I'm over it.
Right.
And then our social media is a huge part, and we live in a different era. And, I hate saying this, but when we were kids, we didn't have Facebook and the internet, it's just all changed. And so we have to, change with that. But I think that we have to stay on top of social media. And I feel like realtors look to us for answers to some of those questions. So I'm constantly reading about, what's going on. It is almost impossible to keep up with that stuff.
Agreed.
Algorithms, all that stuff changes on a daily basis. And so we try to read that stuff, and it still goes right back to just kind of the basics. I think just having those basics. So right now I'm doing audiobooks. And
okay, cool.
Yeah. But I'm doing them at night, like before I fall asleep. And so I'm only getting like a half an hour in every night. And realtors travel all the time, so they can easily be listening to audiobooks. I live 5 blocks away from the store, so
cool.
I can't really drive anymore.
Okay.
But, so I listen to them at night. So right now I'm listening to You're a Badass at Making Money. Sarah, she's hilarious. And her story really resonated with me. And I think realtors, everybody should read that book or listen to that book. The other one is Profit First with Mike Malcolm. I can't say his last name, but
You're good.
Yeah. Profit First is a good one. And that there's a lot. He's a little extreme in some of his stuff, but just like anything, you take a little bit out that works for you, and that's been great. And then of course I have to plug my girl Shelly. She's a local realtor here in Portland, and she just wrote a book called Your First 365 Days in Real Estate.
Nice.
And I normally don't read like real estate books and stuff, but of course I was like, well, I gotta read it. We're selling it here in the store, and we had our book signing here. And I read the first 2 chapters, and I was like, this is the best book ever. That I actually gave it to a realtor friend of mine. And I was like, you have to read this. And she couldn't put it down, highlighted the heck out of it. She's like, I hope you didn't want that book back. So now I'm going to go back and read the rest. But if you've been a realtor forever, reading this book is a great refresher and reminder of the basics. And she tells the story really well. She was she was in the not news, radio broadcasting space before.
Okay.
But she was from Canada, came to Oregon, knew 2 people, became a realtor, and she's with Hassan, and it's a local real estate company here, and she's killing it. And she's only in her 4th year. But she wrote down all the stuff that us realtors are like, I could write a book. Well, she did it, and she did it really, really well. So that's a great book, and I recommend that to everybody. It just launched. Not to mention you're supporting another realtor, and I think it's great. She's got, I think she's got her podcast, or not podcast, excuse me. Her audiobook is on Amazon.
Okay.
And go find it. Your first 365.
I definitely will. I mean, I'm going to add it to my list. I'm constantly reading and consuming and format. So that's a great one for sure.
You'll like it. It's really good.
Cool. So any other thoughts that come down? I mean, that was a great list, and I'll have links in the comments down below, but is that pretty good? Pretty well covered?
I think so. The other ones I'm just not getting into.
No, you're totally good.
I try, but I'm like, I've never done audiobooks before, but I feel like those kinds of, and some people are really great at reading, like, I don't want to call them self-help books, but business books and stuff, and it just bores me to death because I'm just so stuck in the internet, whatever you call that.
Right.
In a logical world that I got to do what will work for me.
And that's the big moral of the story to me when it comes down to it. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're physically reading or listening, or you're watching it on YouTube, or you're attending conferences. I mean, it's just constantly learning at your pace and expanding your thought process from different perspectives in your mind and knowledge, however that comes into play. So, I mean, that's really out to everybody who's watching or listening. Just keep learning, keep growing. But I will have links in the comments down below so everybody can feed their mind the same way that you're doing, which I'm super excited. So, Tracey, this has been chock full of amazing information. Again, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. Last question to wrap everything up before we go, is the quote or the mantra that you might live by that sums you up as a person or a professional. What's that look like for Tracey Hicks?
If you would have asked me that a couple of days ago or even a week ago, I'd have been like, I have no idea. Okay. But because I'm going through this whole process, one of the things was, and I think this is something that realtors probably never thought of. But again, you're a mini corporation. So what is your mission statement? And we've had a mission statement from the beginning to help realtors, basically providing well-designed products and marketing and yada, yada, yada. But through all of this work that we've been doing, one of the things that came up is, well, what is your vision statement? So I think having a vision statement for a realtor, I think everybody should sit back and think about that and write it down. It could go on your website. It could go in your notebook that nobody else sees it, but at least you have a mission. And writing it down and looking at it every once in a while is really, it kind of brings you back to reality sometimes, because, there can be good and bad days in real estate. For sure. But then also looking at your vision statement, you asked me what my why was, so that kind of comes out of that. But through this process, and it's funny because I have a little Post-it here in front, and I never do like affirmations or Post-its, but I have one right here.
I love it.
And it says, does it serve the mission? So that has been really helpful, especially in this business so fast paced, and we want to do all the things and we can't do them all at once. And so we're trying to be really intentional about like next products we're rolling out and things like that. And for me, just trying to keep me on track, because I can trail off and squirrel and rabbit holes and all that. So I'm really trying to, so it's right there. It's the only thing on my desk. It's on my computer, and I look at it when I start thinking about, I could do this or that. So basically, sorry, that's Cuddy the dog.
No, you're good. It's always good to see Cuddy right there. So, hey, buddy.
Hey, dog. Hi.
Hey, buddy. You're live. You're live everywhere, all over the world.
He's the store dog. But yeah, does it serve the mission? And so that's something that I'm really trying to work on, and making sure that we are not wasting our time on things.
I love that. I mean, it truly sums it up. I think it's beautiful, really breaking the whole thing down. And Tracey, I can't thank you enough again. I want to give you a digital handshake and officially say you're a real estate titan. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to thank everybody out there who, for their time and attention, the love and support. As always, if you like what we're doing here with Real Estate Titans, don't forget to like the Facebook page, subscribe on iTunes, take a look at us on YouTube as well. Live every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location, and we'll catch everybody on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.